Are universities scamming you? Are they a scam? Or should you attend universities and colleges? What should you do? Do you need them? Should you use Dr. Google? Who do you listen to? That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. If you haven't watched any of these episodes, a quick introduction before we get into this. This is going to be a very interesting topic for us. My name is Behrouz I'm the CEO and founder here at BMO. I'm joined with my co-host today, Ronza Nisan, who is the director of consulting here at BMO. And who else would have been more appropriate to tell us whether or not universities are a scam than our director of consulting here at BMO? Now, if you have never watched these, I'll explain how these are done. One question we normally have, and we dissect it any way we can to give you what we think is the most comprehensive answer to help you with your decision-making process. We don't want to make decisions for you. We want to help you make the right decision on your own. And it's normally based on our own experience. If we tell you any opinions, we'll tell you it's opinions. Today's topic might be a little bit of experience versus opinions at the same time. Let's get right into it. Are universities a scam? Let's quickly think about this. Why do I think they may be a scam? Well, what is a scam? A scam could be in the form of a service or a product where people collect money, but they do not deliver the value they promise. Let's dissect that part. Universities. Do universities guarantee jobs? No, they don't. So scam check mark 1, checked off. Do they have a satisfaction guarantee if you don't like it? For the most part, no. So another scam checked off. Do they have a results-based money-back guarantee? Most definitely not for the majority of them. So we got 3 check marks of a scam. You know, if you had a 3-part checklist, this thing is a scam. Yeah. But, you know, it's not as easy. I think what we need to do is, you know, I wanted to start this with the argument for that it is a scam, but we're going to tell you how it's not a scam. We're going to do a little bit of both sides, maybe. I also think it depends. It depends on the university. Actually, not necessarily on the university. It depends mostly on why you're going to university. Like, what's the degree? What's the program? What's the use?
Yep.
Right. So, Ronza, you want to start? Should we start talking about the scammy part first, or the non-scammy part first?
I think we started it. We might as well continue with the scamming and the impact.
Let's do that. I would even say some of them are predatory. People love that word. Yes, predatory advertising. Predatory means you have praise. Prey means normally in this, the connotation is you got a bunch of idiots who you could fool, bring them on, tell them you got this thing, but you don't. And then somehow, like, there's no consequences. So I have more to say about this. I want to see what you say. I want to say one more broad thing where I think the scam issue for universities pops up a little bit. And again, for everyone who's watching, including university administrators, these are our opinions. We don't have concrete evidence whether you are a scam or not, besides the stuff that we're telling you, such as no guaranteed job for most programs, no money back guarantee, no satisfaction guarantee. If you do have those things, good for you. You're not a scam. If you don't, you are pretty much a scam, in my opinion. One more reason why you may be a scam if you're a university or a college is accountability, especially if you're nonprofit. If you screw up, you don't get fired. Nobody gets fired. Nobody, like nothing, because students get impacted at the expense of somebody's stupidity or lack of care, lack of empathy, lack of their, I don't know, KPI is not. So for example, at BMO, we always talk about how the admissions process is just a joke. And people are always like, well, why is that? The universities don't care? No, why do they? Why should they? Nothing happens to them. So if you go through the medical school admission process and you select someone who's arrogant, asshole, rich daddy, and then you tell somebody no because they're poor, don't understand the culture, but they're fantastic, could have been a culture. Is the dean gonna get fired? No, you write a letter to the dean is not even gonna respond. How is that for disrespect? They won't even respond to you, let alone showing you their little middle finger. So lack of accountability, I think, is another issue with a lot of universities. Again, now we're overgeneralizing, and then we'll talk about that. So, Ronza, what are some of the other thoughts you have that you think,
I
especially
could talk.
nowadays, man, like you could go on Google and learn anything. Like, why do I need a university?
There's so much to unpack with this topic, and it's something I want to first start off by saying, I, of course, love education. My
That's a different
father was
thing.
a teacher.
100%.
Exactly. So anytime you take something and it becomes institutionalized, the motives become questionable. And then you talk money, right? Money runs a business. And at the end of the day, the university is a business. So you have to kind of unpack that model. And you mentioned accountability. And I think that's so big because when you look at, first and foremost, you look at the programs that are being offered at a university. Then you assess and align them with potential jobs in a market. Right then and there, that first year, when you have these young minds that have absolutely no idea what they're doing, maybe they're like, I'm interested in this topic. Let me just focus and major in this topic. As a program, as an institution, if I knew that this program would yield to absolutely no jobs in a market, how can I better approach students that are invested in a topic versus helping them to prepare for actual career skills, life skills, things that will be transferable to a job? How can I, come up with a curriculum that says, hey, these are things that you can take. These are, courses. You can't major in this because, majoring in this and using your entire time on this, once you graduate, this is what's going to happen. I mean, hey, at the end of the day, just be honest with it. Like, if you don't want to change your curriculum and take accountability and actually helping people to come out as career oriented, transferable to the market right away, they can start paying off their student loans. They can start, growing that savings. They can buy a house. That's what people really want when they're progressing in life. If you can't change the curriculum so it could help people transition to the market, then at least be honest. I wish at first year, they would have literally laid down, hey, these are the jobs. This is what the market happens. These are the programs. Teach the students that are coming in and say, this is the ideal situation. This is the realistic situation in these programs. And then let students make the decision. I think a lot of times you have students that either the first generation going to school, they have parents that are immigrants that don't really know differences in terms of specializing. And I say that from my personal experience. I had a guidance counselor that said, oh, you're going to major, because I like biology, you're going to major in nursing and you're going to minor in law. There's absolutely no such exactly. There's no such thing. And then the way they certified it was, I'm going to call your mother, who barely speaks English, by the way, and I'm going to confirm this with her. And I'm in high school and I'm eager, I'm motivated. And then they phone her up and then she goes, okay, I'm good. So then all the classes leading up to university were bio, law. And then I came to realize there's no such thing as, minoring in law and having these conjoined. Like, I would literally just overkill myself as a student in first year. So then I had to take it upon myself to really dissect. So the problem before even university is, I would say guidance counselors leading up really need more help with helping students. But then I went to university and there was nothing from there. No one told me what this major is going to bring me. What can I utilize with my major? What job am I going to get from it? So I think lack of transparency at the beginning and the curriculum setup is so poorly designed. And a lot of it is because
the other thing is, before you go on, like, even if you have a question, they put one angry person. There's one angry Karen in the office that doesn't even want to interact with you, and they keep throwing it in your face that it's free. It's free. No, it's not free. I pay tuition. What do you mean free? Karen, are you a volunteer? No, actually, my salary is $85,000 a year. Can you please let them know you're not free? They keep saying you're free. You're not free. You don't even talk to me. Like, I made an appointment, and now you say you're busy. It's 4:30. You have to run because you're like Cinderella. Obviously, I had classes. I can never like. It's such a mess. But anyways, continue. Like,
I would just say, like, to apply to university costs or apply to any college, it costs money. For whatever reason, it's a lot of money to process your application that they're reading for a few seconds. Like that just baffles my mind that even applying to universities costs you money.
Exactly, dude. Am I not paying you for your service? You have the audacity to charge me for an application and again pay Karen, who is always angry, like for what reason?
So that's actually, that could be another category in our checkbox of scamming, because you're not guaranteed to even get, get accepted, and you're already
And they
paying.
still take your money.
Yeah,
That's ridiculous.
and then you start thinking about the motives. Like I really question, like, we want well-rounded people. We want people that are doing extracurriculars, people that are there. And then I'm like thinking, why? Why do you care if someone plays sports, does the piano? Like, why are we making these students go crazy, twisting their heads everywhere just to say you're worthy of studying? And then you'll start thinking, oh, I get it. Because if you bring someone that's well-versed and does other things, that means they can contribute to the university's programs. And how good does that make the university look when we have a stellar varsity team, when we have an amazing drama club, when we have, to me, it doesn't make sense. Like, make it make sense and be transparent. Genuinely help these students if that's what you want to do. Educate them, make sure it's transferable. And stop asking students to be like these amazing, well-rounded, articulate, creative. It's
like,
too
you're not gonna be if you're not gonna be an athlete, why are you asking the kid to go? Like, can I see how much you need extracurriculars and as an athlete? How many instrumental, musical instrument did you play? Who cares if I'm not applying for a music program? Like, who cares?
That's exactly it. And then you'll argue, well, we want to see how they collaborate, want to see how they communicate. Well, can you not see that in like all of the applications?
Dude,
and the
I
written
worked at
form?
McDonald's. I worked a real job. That is evidence that I could do well and collaborate and be in the real
100%.
world.
100%. I just think it's the demand and what we're looking for is it's overwhelming these students, and then the lack of the transparency and the resources, and they're not being guided. I mean, you're limited time to pick your courses, and you have to pick a course based on a major that you made based on absolutely no knowledge, because no one helped you, and then you just ride it out. You write it out. You have no idea how many friends I have no idea why. I mean, I like the topic, but if I could go back, I would study this. If I could go back, I would, and we shouldn't have that.
You know what? As you were talking about accountability, I'm gonna say something that may seem like a conspiracy, and for the anti-conspiracy keyboard warriors, listen to the whole thing, watch the whole thing before you go keyboard crazy. Another major red flag that most universities and most of their programs are just a scam, and more or less to exert control over the population, is the fact that if I am dissatisfied, even though they work just like a for-profit company, they don't have the same accountability as a for-profit, because most of them get money from government grants, etc., even when they're a private institution, and they're heavily controlled by the government. And if I'm dissatisfied, I cannot go write a negative review. Where do I even go? Where, like, have you seen, like, if I type in University of XYZ reviews, where is the reviews? Where is that? Like, where can I go and complain so that I write you 10,000 negative reviews so that you disappear? Just like a business doesn't do well compared to competitors. You're going to keep seeing negative reviews, and then people are going to go to another business that's doing better, and that's it. You cannot do that for universities because they all have shitty reviews, one, and it's nowhere to be found. Like, where are these?
That would have been so helpful. Right? As soon as someone graduates, or even after their first semester, their first year, what do you think about the program? What do you think about the culture? What do you think about the mission?
If they did that, half the universities would be wiped out, because they're all garbage. Like, they're garbage. The professors are garbage. The programs are garbage. There's like, you find everything on Google these days. Why do I need you at all to, I don't know, teach me the periodic table? Why would I need you? And charge me like $8,000 for it and still give me attitude? I'm paying you and you're giving me attitude? Where's the customer service?
Well, I mean, this is the culture we live in. No longer is education valued. You're seeing a generation of TikTokers, YouTubers, influencers that are making so much more money and are obviously, they're passionate about any sort of creative projects. That's awesome, but are becoming so successful. And then you have, these individuals that are like, well, look at me busting my butt off, going to school, making myself on well-rounded extracurricular drama, varsity student. I'm graduating with school debt. I'm fighting to get a job because it's so competitive. They're wanting 5 years of experience right off the bat. And here is someone that didn't go to school and now they're a famous influencer. They bought a house. They're able to do all these things. What is the point of education?
Exactly. So, going back down to eventually, again, anti-conspiracy keyboard warriors, we're going to get to the good for university in a moment. This is not going to be a one-sided issue, but I'm going to keep going about the things that make it kind of useless. Going back to accountability, one major issue, and I've seen this, I've mostly studied Canadian universities. The majority of them are public universities. Claws of the government is like everywhere. They're like, you could just smell, taste, feel it. And here's a very interesting part of it, especially for a place where it's a Western society, it's got some form of democracy. Then you go into a university and you're like, okay, when was the president elected? They're like, excuse me, president wasn't elected, appointed. And you're like, excuse me, isn't this a public institution? Yes, it is. Isn't it funded by taxpayers' money? Yes, it is. Okay, so who elected the president of the university? No one elected. It was who appointed? Blah 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 blah. How? Oh, it's just a buddy system. But don't tell anyone. We have a rigorous selection process. No, you don't. That by itself is problematic. So again, too much government controlling who gets elected, and then buddy system. This is just not good. Education is so important, but the beauty is, like Ronza, you were saying, most of these are becoming irrelevant. Most programs are irrelevant now because you could go learn things that you actually need: how to be social, how to make money, how to learn project management, how to do sales, how to do marketing. All of that stuff Dr. Google will teach you. You don't have to go to school.
Yeah. And you mentioned agenda, right? So you don't just mention political agenda because universities are political. If I'm going to read history or read a subject, I'm not going to read it based on what the university specifically wants me to focus on. I could diversify and look at different history books from different angles.
Exactly. Not the university's own agenda and point of view. I could go and figure out and decide on my own point of view, which are all important. That's what we encourage, if you're a student watching this, like, be careful. Like, this university is just indoctrinate the heck out of you, and you don't understand what's happening until it's too late. So don't listen to all the BS they say, and nothing is for free. You're paying a lot of money. You should hold them accountable every turn you can. Now, what are some of the advantages of universities, though? What is the benefits they have? Well, to me, one of the obvious ones is some programs, you have to go to university. Like, there's no way I'm going to let you touch me if you say I'm a surgeon, self-studied YouTube surgeon. Get the hell out of here. You're not touching me. You gotta go to university. Let me see your degree. So it depends on the program. Lawyers, doctors, dentists, etc. Like, where the profession requires some oversight, that's when it is good to have government involvement and university involvement. I'm okay with that, as long as it's still open to changes over time. And normally they are. In a democratic society, those things are a little bit open, so they change, even though they have a pretty crazy grip. And it's okay to have that grip, because not having the grip equals life and death, and people doing a lot of unethical stuff. Versus, let's say, a developer, like less and less people are like developers. Like, where do you see, you don't need to go to university to get a degree. We've hired so many developers. I haven't looked at any one of their degrees because it just doesn't matter. Like, if you ask me, XYZ, who is with us right now, what university they went to get, I don't know, because I don't care. It's irrelevant. Our sales people, our marketing people, our consulting team, we require for some of them to have some sort of a degree because it makes sense but some of our people who are not involved into things that require a degree, like we don't care, we don't like it's unnecessary, so unnecessary.
Or it's irrelevant. Like I have so many people, including my sister, that's like, I'm an engineer. Nothing of what I've studied, I'm applying to my career. And
Exactly.
the career, and then, like you said, some things you have to go to university. So it's like, well, how do we fix up the curriculum? So it's not just based on theory and just based on all these textbooks that for whatever reason, we just never switched up. And we give people actually like somehow like real life exposure to that job, like make it sort of like a trade skill where they're actually employing some of the skills. Like, how can we do that with a lot of these other programs rather than just focusing on specialized ones and near the end? How can we employ that earlier on so someone can be like, this is not for me, I'm done. So, or switch it up. I love
Exactly.
how we were like, let's talk about the good. We went back.
We went back because it's just got a lot of issues, and
Yeah.
it's unfortunate that students, sometimes their parents do not understand. There are certain things you should not go to university. You're gonna waste your time. Time is something you will never get back. Don't waste it on university. Certain things you don't like. If you want to become a doctor, then yes, you have to go to university. If you want to become, I don't know, let's say you just want to start a business, don't go to university. That's just dumb. Go start a business and learn. You're gonna have like 10
Yeah.
businesses that fail. Eventually you learn, and that's it. There's nothing else to do. Like, what's a university gonna give you? I think it is time, essentially, the way I feel it. The reason for this was it's time for people to stop their reliance on universities and degrees. And the more employers do it, the more universities will lose that control, which is good. Less and less employers care. So less and less people are going to be enticed to do this. And this whole thing, scam, is essentially coming out. Two, if you do use them, hold them accountable. Every turn, you're paying for a service. They have to give you a service. Don't allow Karen to be rude to you. She cannot. She's getting paid. Nothing's for free. There is absolutely no one a volunteer. This nonprofit, blah, blah, that stuff is BS. Everybody's getting paid. That just means, first of all, you're still paying them. I cannot even say that somebody else is paying them. You're still paying them. They also get more money from the government, which is again you, because your tax dollars. Like government has no money. What is government's money? It's tax dollars. There's nothing else. I think that's all I had. Any final thoughts, Ronza?
One thing you had mentioned earlier on, I do think that there are some really great professors, and I've come across many, but even some of them will tell you that they're kind of tied to the institution. There's so much yellow taping. So, to everything you said, hold people accountable, hold the university accountable, start treating it like a business that it is, start being curious, start questioning things. I think we just society's just kind of just taught, push you and feed the university. Once you graduate, move into this, move into that. And we don't even question these things. And I think you've done a great job, Behrouz, with saying, well, it's a business. How do you, like, this is a partnership at the end of the day. So let's treat it like any other business, remain curious and, hold people to our standards.
Exactly. Maybe I add some final thought based on what you just said. The red tape for professors. And yeah, this is not to say professors are doing a shitty job, by the way. A lot of them are doing a fantastic job. They got their own research, etc. That's great. You could just call a place a research institute and get funding some other ways, instead of just bringing people and like getting professors who are not even interested in teaching students because they're like, well, just go on Google or go watch my recorded stuff.
Yeah.
You leave them alone so they do the things they do best, and this all makes sense. But an example of that is essentially Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
That's a popular example at, the time of us recording this. Is essentially, if you think about what happened, and eventually he quit. And guess what? He made most of his impact, most of his money, essentially he made within the first year or two after he came out of that system, than the entire time he spent inside the system. It's just doesn't work anymore. I think it's just for the reason, essentially the reason for the fact that these things are not going away is because we're trying to squeeze that level of control that they don't have anymore, unfortunately for them. It's great for everyone else. Hopefully most of them will get closed down. It's just nonsense. And like, they got beautiful buildings. I kind of want to be able to rent a building for our team members. They got it from tax taxpayers' money. Like, that's enough. Just close down, go away, give us the buildings. We pay the government some money. It's not like we don't want it for free, but like you're just occupying space now for no good reason except for a few programs and few select professors. Most of it is just nonsense. 80-20 rule says 20% of universities are doing 80% of the work, which means 80% of universities should just go away. And that's it.
And make parking free. It's ridiculous that students have to pay for parking.
I know, if we're paying as taxpayers, like what if government has to pay and then students have to pay? That makes no sense. Like one way or another, you figure it out. Cut your costs. You don't need to pay Karen $85,000 a year. That's crazy. Karen doesn't need, like, we kept picking on Karen today. But
not all Karens are the Karen we're talking
about. Of course. I just meant the grumpy, and it's not always, obviously I'm making this a little bit comical for the entertainment value. Again, there's always going to be keyboard warriors, but it's usually it's somebody who is really depressed, sad with their life, and angry at kids, and they keep throwing in their face that this is free, don't go anywhere else, it's free. I'm like, okay, if it's free, well, how come you're never available? And why your salary 85,000 plus 5,000 bonus every year plus you got benefits too. Oh my God, add the benefits, you're making over 6 figures and you keep telling me this is free? Come on, Karen. But yeah, there's better jobs for Karen as well. I'm sure they could be useful elsewhere, in other employment opportunities. But anyways, that was it for us. I think universities had enough. We gave them a piece of our mind. And if you're watching this, if you enjoyed this, share it with a friend, share it with a university administrator, share it with the university dean. Tell them I invite them for a live debate any day of the week, anytime, literally anytime. I don't even care what time zone they are, because I would love to see them get embarrassed if they have counter arguments. Although I am an open-minded person, I'm going to remain open-minded. I'm totally open to being embarrassed as well if they have some thoughts that will enlighten us about certain facts. And again, remember, I didn't say it's totally a scam. It's mostly a scam. So I think that's the conclusion we're going to wrap up with. That's our opinion, at least. If you like this, share it with a friend. Subscribe on whatever social media channel you're watching this, and hopefully we'll talk to you in the next episode. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.